We're coming in hot to give you our hot takes on all the latest mental health news.
From headlines and memes to developments and breakthroughs.
We go into this show blind with the hopes of learning something new.
Before sharing some bunny hugs.
And leaving with our eyes wide open. I'm Nick.
And I'm Todd. And this is Mental Health Headline Hot Takes.
We're glad you're here. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Headline Hot Takes with Nick and
Todd.
Welcome. Let's spin the wheel. And I will say stop.
Todd's choice. I'll go first.
Let's do it.
So I live I'm moving this summer to the city of Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. And we talk quite often, you and I, about socioeconomics around mental health. And the city I'm moving to, it's the first in Canada in its kind to do this. So there's a lot of people, especially after the pandemic, that are needing food from food banks. And it can be very degrading. It can be, especially if you've never had to do it before. And so Regina's Food Bank has come up with this wonderful idea. I have to catch my breath. I'm so excited. Okay, I'll just read some of the bits from the article. So since the pandemic, there has been a spike in food bank users across the country, up to 25% in Regina alone. 1 in 8 families and 1 in 4 children are now food insecure in the city. Of the 16,000 monthly clients, 44% of them are kids. So what they've done to make it less, shameful to get food is they set up a grocery store. And you just go in, you get $200 every 2 weeks per person, and you shop for your own groceries. And it's just like going to a grocery store as opposed to going up and someone handing you a pre-made box of food, and then you're allergic to this or you don't like that.
Right.
And, so they actually think that they're actually going to save on food by doing it this way. That you're allowed to pick and choose. So. The Regina Food Bank Vice President David Froh, when you give choices, you give not just dignity, but actually we figure we can feed about 25% more people this way, as opposed to just
because you're
giving
not wasting food.
Exactly. And once they're
registered
no one else
with
thought
of this,
well,
it seems simple.
It sounds like there's some places dabbling with this in the States, but this is the first the first real one in Canada. Once they're registered with the food bank, they will be able to stop in every 2 weeks by appointment, $200 per person. Fro said their largest growing demographics are people who work full time. So there are people working full-time jobs that cannot afford food. And the other demographic is new Canadians. So speaking of economics, it's like we need more population for the economy to grow, but we're bringing in poor people from other places. And people who are working full time can't even afford groceries anymore. So,
it's like we say, some of us here in America, we have an open checkbook for overseas wars, but we've got people going hungry and homeless here in the States that are left to die.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And have stigma and get addicted and all that stuff. But I'm super proud of everybody at the food bank in Regina, Saskatchewan. I think it's an amazing idea. Instead of feeling shameful to go in there, you're just like any other grocery store. You go in and they check you out and, to make sure you don't go over your limit or whatever. But and off you go. Yeah, and it's saving.
I can't believe that no one's thought of this before. Like, this is really smart. This is such a like more cost effective, but like more dignity kind of way. And I know there's like people they feel so shamed going to a food bank or a school or something here to get food, and it's like it can be better. And it's not something I've thought about a lot. I mean, the most important thing is getting food into people's hands when they need food. But like to have the grocery store set up or to have the cost benefit for that too. I mean, it just makes it makes so much sense.
I forgot to mention this was an article from CBC, and it's called Canada's First Full-Scale Free Grocery Store to Open in Regina by Alex Saladuca. But yeah, I agree. It's like it's so funny things like this when it's like someone comes up with it and it's like, wait a minute, that makes so much sense. Why didn't someone think of this like 40 years ago?
Right. Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. But yeah, I have a little piece of my heart for the Regina Food Bank because I volunteered there a long time ago working off a traffic ticket.
Ha! Are you going to volunteer there again?
Yeah, if I get a ticket, maybe. But
Well, I mean, just to
I
volunteer.
volunteer. Well, I volunteer lots of other places, to be honest with you, but mental health and stuff. But so anyway, yeah, when I was like 19 years old, I have a little piece of my heart there. But yeah, I'm just super proud of my city. And it's funny when you take politicians away and you just have people with good intentions, what great decisions they make. So yeah, it's interesting.
I couldn't agree more. That's take the politics out of a lot of stuff, and people all of a sudden have good ideas, and they're not constrained by the confines that are presented to them that are usually fake to begin with and not designed to actually help people. They're designed to dot an I, cross a T, keep people just fed enough, just poor enough to not be able to like wake up.
Yeah, or fed enough to be able to come vote for
Exactly.
me.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's
good.
my story.
That's good news. It's nice to have some good news.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what you got there? Good news too, I hope.
So my article today is a new study or new report, I should say. The headline, this is from NBCNewYork.com. It's written by an NBC New York staff. So it's like a staff op-ed. And the headline is New York City teens suffer depressive symptoms in large numbers in the city's first mental health report. The mental health report is called The State of Mental Health of New Yorkers, and it details what mental health looks like for the city's population up to and following the COVID-19 pandemic. So the real pull away here is obviously there's more young people we know are suffering with mental health issues. And I think the interesting thing here that is sort of noteworthy more than anything else is roughly 1 in 4 adults report experiencing a mental health disorder, which is about line with the national average. But what I think is really important to pull out of this is the fact that there's a state of mental health report being conducted. Because as we've talked about before, it's one of those things where it's great to talk about. It's great to remove the stigma, but like, at what point does that cross a line into like maybe enabling or negativity? And what I find most interesting about this is that when we have these reports, right, you have jobs reports, you have all sorts of stuff like that. I feel like there's actionable insights to follow. Like right now, it's just a report, right? I read the whole article. I didn't see anything in there that is saying, here's what we're going to do. I did also think it was noteworthy that they looked into substance abuse, and New Yorkers had 23% using cannabis and then 45% reporting drinking. And then those teens, it was like 48% of teens were feeling depression symptoms ranging from mild to severe. So I think these numbers are good, right? This kind of reporting is good. But now what I'm curious to see is what comes next. Like, what are the outputs? Mm-hmm. Like when you have a jobs report, right, which in its own is flawed and stupid and doesn't really tell the whole story at all. But you don't actually get this either. I'm like, you get a president or you get a politician who's like, we're going to do a jobs program and we're going to make sure that we get these numbers down. That doesn't really happen either. But my point is, I feel like when you start doing reports like this, in theory, you should start to see actionable insights to improve this report year to year. Right.
Right.
Like the happiest countries.
Right. So right now it's more like data collecting.
Yeah, it feels like the report's data collecting. And what I think, maybe next year, if they're listening, it would be good to say, okay, let's put a committee together on what our key takeaways are and what we believe we can do to improve this. And the loneliness, man, the people feeling lonely I think loneliness is kind of going to be the epidemic of our time.
I guess it'll depend on on election results, what they'll do.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's kind of how it always seems. It's like, okay, we've had consultants and here's all the data, and
that's it.
Then that's it. Or they do make decisions and then they're voted out or whatever. Yeah. So it's, again, politics. It drives me crazy that these kind of issues are politicized and not just looked at. Here's data. Here's consultants telling you what we should do with this data, and you just do it. But anyway.
Yeah. Like, what could we do? I feel like there should be some sort of committee of normal
free candy
people. Right. Yeah. Sugar's going to help.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
There should be some sort of committee that makes recommendations or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I was going to say maybe that's what they're collecting this data for, but it doesn't sound like it. Just sounds like a bunch of reporters are collecting data.
So it's like, I always say at work and with people I'm consulting on work, it's like, I don't really care about the data. I care about the actionable insights that come from the data. So like, if you're looking at a thing where 1 in 4 people are depressed, like, cool, that's a good data point. But what I really want is like, now that we have this data, what are we going to do with it? Right. So like,
we want 3 out of 4 people depressed.
Probably. But I like have, I give this advice to people on my team too. I'm like, you can show the data, but like, what are you seeing in the data? Like, what are you going to do next because of this data? So it's like website traffic is up or down. And it's like, what are we going to do if it's down to get it up? And if it's up, what are we going to do to put our foot on the gas pedal to keep it going up? Like, that's what I want. The data itself is just a data point.
Right.
So that's kind of how I feel about this.
For me, it's like they keep doing the same things. They throw money at the same things all the time. It's like, okay, at what point do you realize that's not working? Like, you might have to start thinking outside the box here and be like
the food,
the food bank, grocery store thing. Yeah.
I will say though, I was going to do a story on this, but I decided not to. I opted for this instead. But Chicago's opening up 4 more public mental health facilities in the city, which is good because that's one of the reasons our mayor won, was to reopen a lot of the closed mental health facilities. So another one opened.
There was 12.
Yeah. Another one just opened, and then there's 3 more coming soon.
Oh, good.
And a commitment from the mayor to make sure they're fully staffed, invest to make sure they're fully staffed. So,
dang. Yeah, it's funny how it goes from federal to state to now municipalities are just taking it upon themselves to do stuff.
I just feel like it is always local. Like if you actually want to get involved in politics, it's local. If you're running for these big offices, I just feel like it's your ego. Your ego's in the driver's seat. Like when I had Jill Stein from the Green Party on my podcast a few weeks ago, she is like, she doesn't want to run, but she's like, I also don't think, because we bonded a little bit when I was like, I don't want to lead this, I'm choosing to lead this, reality TV reckoning, but like, it kind of also chose me. I didn't wake up and say, I'm going to do this. It was kind of like, someone else going to do this? No. Okay, I guess it's me. And it was the same for her. But she made this good point of like, anyone who is elected president shouldn't want to be president. And I think that's so true. That's so true. Because if you want to be president, what's your why?
Maybe we'll see. She's smart.
She's very smart. And so nice, so kind.
That's good for Chicago. And I hope, New York does something with this data other than report it.
Yeah. Exactly. Cool.
That's another week, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you have any feedback or any articles, or you just want to say hi, our info's below there. And if you want to watch this on YouTube, please go ahead. It's on Nick's channel, Eyes Wide Open. Until next week, thanks for listening. I'm Todd.
And I'm Nick. Thank you. Bye. This has been our Mental Health Headline Hot Takes.
We're so glad you came.
Remember, when you heal yourself,
you heal the world.
Be sure to like this video, leave comments, and suggest articles for future episodes.
Hit subscribe to Eyes Wide Open
and Bunny Hugs and Mental Health.